Thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. 18th of August, just coming up 6 o'clock. Looking ahead to the games tonight and obviously over the weekend. Before we get into that, I just want to show you the amount of frustration I've suffered this week. Absolutely incredible. It was a really bloody frustrating night on Tuesday. I was at the Portsmouth Exeter game. Checked my phone at half time and about midway through the second half, and we were in an absolutely fantastic position. We had Bradford 4-1 in front, we had Wigan in front, we had Accrington in front, and we were on Barnet as well, who were 2-1. They were 3-0 up against Eastleigh, and obviously come the final whistle, all those teams that were winning, 4-1, 11-8, 70-10 and 2-1, all ended up being draws. They were the bets from Tuesday night. It was a really busy night, but there was plenty of value about it, as I say. I mean, we actually made 0.2 on the evening, but it could have been oh so different, and I think we did deserve more. It was a sour. My drive was a sour one back to Bournemouth, and I decided to inflict some more pain on myself by going to watch Havant on Wednesday, the next night, for a third straight loss. So it was a really frustrating. I did enjoy the Portsmouth Exeter game, I have to say. Well, enjoy it. It wasn't the best of games. But Pompey do look a decent side. I'd be surprised if they're not minimum in the playoffs. I don't think I'm going to be going to a game tomorrow, unless the only one that I do really want to go to see Gillingham, who, as I said to members, are my newfound love this season. But a 4-hour round trip from Bournemouth to Crawley is, I just don't know. As I say, because I've been to Portsmouth Tuesday and haven't Wednesday. But right, I just wanted to say how, that it was a really, really frustrating evening. And exactly the same thing happened to us last Saturday in Scotland. We had a couple of winners, but again, draws done us. And if you look at that, we had 17 bets in England. We've only actually had 3 that have lost. It's draws. So we've had 2, 3, 4. We've had 6 draws. It's almost as much as many winners. But I just wanted to show you that because it could have been such a brilliant night for us on Tuesday. Just frustrating. But we had some nice winners: 19-10, 2-1, 13-10. But as I say, it could have been so much better. Right, let's get on. We'll go through Scotland. It's poor week in Scotland, if I'm honest. We've got the League Cup, haven't we? So, there's two members' bets in Scotland. So it's pretty thin this week. Arbroath, Queen's Park, 26-24, 50. These played the other day. Queen's Park 1-2-1. 0.1 in them. They're rated 50%. It's a question of how you see it, really. It's how you see it. You'd have to back Queen's Park. You can't really make a case for Arbroath, but I do think Arbroath will get better. I do think it could be a long season for them. But yeah, there we go. Right, let's go on to Scottish League One. A little bit better here. Edinburgh Hamilton 21-24, 55. Hamilton, I think, should be 4-5. They're a little bit bigger than that. They've won both games so far, not shipped a goal, so it's been quite a decent start. Edinburgh, I said last season I thought Edinburgh would go down, but they really did surprise me last season. But I do think that you look at the league table at the moment, you've got the bottom 2 teams, Annan and Edinburgh, and I do expect those two to fight it out for who goes down. Kelty Alloa 40-27-33. Bookmakers, I think Alloa are far too short for this. 6-4 Kelty is right as far as I'm concerned. I think Alloa 13-8 is ridiculous price. I'm not saying Kelty are going to win. it's a no-bet game as far as I'm concerned. Montrose Cove, 32-26-42. There's a bit in Cove. They've not won yet, Cove. 2 games, 1 defeat and a draw. But I do think that we've got to... You have to look at that. Don't just look at that as, they've started poorly. They lost 1-0 at Hamilton and drew 2-2 at home to Falkirk, who, for my money, are the best 2 teams in this division. And I think come the end of the season, that will probably be borne out. Falkirk needed a 90th minute equaliser to stop Cove winning at the Balmoral last week. It's a trip up to Links Park. They lost at home to Kelty here, first game 2-0, and they won at Annan last week 3-1. Don't be fooled by that, because I think Annan, as I just said, I think Annan are the worst side in the division, along with Edinburgh. I do think that Annan are the worst side. I expect Cove to win tomorrow. I don't think they'll be far away. Cove. I'm not saying they're going to win the title, because as I just said, I think that the 2 best sides in this division are Hamilton and probably Falkirk, but Cove are a tough nut to crack. I think they can pick up, start their season tomorrow. Queen of the South Annan, 60-24-16. Anybody who's followed me when I was working from the paper knows what I think about Queen of the South. They're so hard to call. They won for us last week. They'll win tomorrow. I mean, there's 0.06 in it. I mean, if you can get bigger, brilliant. But I do think they'll win. Can't see Annan stopping Queen of the South tomorrow. But if I had to have one bet in this division, it would be Cove. I think 0.32 at 42%. And as I say, I think the case can be strong. I mean, that figure's, obviously I've had to adjust it because they've not won. But, the fact that they've played, as I say, the 2 best teams in the division. But I do think they'll pick up, start the season tomorrow. Right, League 2. Bonnyrigg Stranraer, 34-26-40. I think that Stranraer, they've started okay. They won at Elgin last week, drew at home to... they won at Elgin first time, drew at home to East Fife last week. I don't think that's too bad, because if East Fife last season, they were one of the best sides, if not the best side, League 2 side on the road. So I think that's pretty decent form. Bonnyrigg, drawn at home to Dumbarton. They won at Clyde last week. That has to go down as disappointing for Clyde as far as I'm concerned. We'll come to that game in a minute. But if I had to have a bet here, it would be Stranraer rated to win. There's a bit of value in it. Not a lot, but... Clyde Peterhead, 32-24-44. I think Peterhead have settled the better of the 2 relegated sides. Not shipped to goal. 3-0 winners at East Fife on the first week. 0-0 at home to Stenhousemuir last week. Stenhousemuir have drawn both games 0-0, not scored a goal. 44%, there's half a point in Peterhead. I think that's quite a decent bet. It's up to you. Dumbarton Forfar, 38-24-38. I couldn't split these. Forfar, another side, they've not shipped a goal or scored. 0-0 at Steny. 0-0 at home to Elgin. That was poor form. I've said it before. I think Elgin are, one of the 2 or 3 sides that can go down, or at least finish bottom this season. So for Forfar not to be able to get a result there, I think is disappointing. Dumbarton drew 1-1 at home to Spartans and 1-1 away to Bonnyrigg. They're the other 2 sides that I think will be near the bottom this season. So I don't think that's the best of form for Dumbarton. I found it a really tough game. No value in the game anyway, so best to leave it. East Fife Stenhousemuir, 39-25-36. We've played 1 game at Bayview. That was a 3-0 stuffing at home to Peterhead. Better last week, a draw at Stranraer. Stenhousemuir haven't, as I said already, haven't scored and haven't shipped a goal. This would be a bit lower, but because of East Fife's, I think, poor start, and we have to say it's a poor start, it's projected that slightly, but I wouldn't touch this. I'm not saying they can't win, because there's only 3% between the 2 sides, but not for me. Spartans Elgin, 57-25-18. Spartans 4-6. I think they deserve to be odds on. I think a draw away at Dumbarton, could be decent form. Drew at home to Clyde, which I'm not really sure about that, but Elgin lost at home to Stranraer, 0-0 away at Forfar. They've not scored, but they've only shipped once. But I do think Spartans will probably win. Best bet for me in Scotland this week is probably Peterhead or Cove. As I say, I thought Cove were a decent price. I think Montrose have been put in far too short when you consider, like I say, a home defeat to Kelty, and they're playing Cove tomorrow at home. I think there's a bit of a difference between Cove and Kelty. I really do. But that's it. It's a quiet week north of the border. Let's go on to England. Right, I'm going to cover League One and League Two again, because I will cover the Premiership periodically, but I just really don't see the point, because there's just nothing there. I'll give you my thoughts this week in the Premier League. I thought Tottenham were a fair enough price against Manchester United, sort of 9-5. They're around that sort of figure. I did actually watch both those games last Sunday, which I try to tend not to do, but I did. I watched Tottenham, Brentford, Chelsea, Liverpool, and I watched Manchester United, Wolves on Monday, and then went to those games on the Tuesday and the Wednesday, so I got a bit sick of it by Wednesday night, I have to say. I thought Tottenham, as I just said, was a fair enough price at home to Manchester United. I thought they were okay at Brentford. United looked all at sea to Wolves on Monday night. I don't trust Tottenham enough to make it a members bet, but I just thought there was a little bit in the price, not a lot, just a little bit. And people say, they only drew 2-2 at Brentford. I think in the overall scheme of things, if you look at Brentford's home record last season, it was excellent, and I thought Tottenham deserved to win that game. I thought Brentford I think it was never a penalty, and the other goal was a bit of a deflected effort, wasn't it? So I thought Tottenham deserved to win, and I think Manchester United should have been beaten by Wolves. That's one of the reasons why I cannot stick Premier League football. That was the most blatant penalty you can ever see, when I think a Nana came out and clattered, I forget his name now, and I couldn't understand for the life of me how that wasn't given as a penalty. But then, I'm not going to say anything negative against Manchester United, because their fans are just very, very sensitive and are straight emailing me, you shouldn't have said that, we're this, we're that. But no, I was disappointed with them. On the subject of Wolves, I thought they were huge value at home to Brighton. If they can back up that United performance, it's a big if. But we keep seeing Brighton at 1-3 and that for games. When we're not talking about Man City here, we are talking about Brighton after all. I thought Wolves at 3-1. If they can put in the same performance as they did against United, I think they're capable of seeing off Brighton. I thought 3-1 was decent. The only other one, I thought Aston Villa at home to Everton. That's just ridiculous. I cannot see 4-6 about Aston Villa is just plain wrong, because I didn't think Everton were overly bad against Fulham last week. I only saw the highlights and the reports I read, and Villa got a right tanking at Newcastle. Dyche will try and stink the place out, I'm sure, with Everton, but Villa should not be 4-6 for that game. I'm not saying to lay them or they can't win, but the only other one in the Championship, I thought Birmingham were too big at 5-2. They've got new owners, and I do really rate John Eustace. They beat Leeds last week. I think that's a decent scalp to take. I think they'll be a top half club this season, I think, Birmingham. I might be wrong, but we shall see. But they're just sort of my thoughts from Premier League and League One. As I say, I thought Tottenham were overpriced. I thought Wolves were overpriced. I thought Everton were overpriced, and Birmingham. I'm not saying any of those will win, and they are not account bets. They were just teams which I thought were overpriced. But I would have massive trust issues with Tottenham and Manchester United in that game. I wouldn't want to back either of them. I'd have trust issues with Wolves and Everton. But people asking me my thoughts on the Premier League, and there it is. Right, let's get on to League One, because that's far more important as far as we're concerned. Bolton Wigan 50-25-25. One thing I've noticed so far this season, Wigan have been overpriced pretty much every game, and I think bookmakers take a view, don't they? I'm not just saying bookmakers, but the general public. They'll just look at the table and see where Wigan are in the table without actually, scratching the surface. They had, if you're not aware, an 8-point deduction. They're bottom of the table on -1, but they've actually won 2 and drawn 1. They would be 5th. That's fine. We backed them the other night to win at Carlisle. I think they probably should have done. They go to Bolton tomorrow. Bolton are putting odds on for this. I don't think Bolton warrant being odds on. Bolton have won 3 games. Yes, I've got nothing against them. It's one of the teams we're on for the outright, so I'm not going to complain at all. I just think that this is too short tomorrow, because this is a decent outfit. Make no mistakes. There's every chance they could still make the playoffs this season. I mean, they could even win the title. They're a decent side. Barnsley, Oxford 43-24-33. I did say the other night, Barnsley, Peterborough. We had value in Barnsley, but I said not to bet it because I had concerns, and Peterborough went up there and beat them convincingly. I don't think they're going to be as good at all this season, Barnsley. And I did say about Nathan Collins, not sure about him at all. It's all right stuffing Port Vale 7-0 when Port Vale were probably undercooked and probably will be in the bottom third. Peterborough at home is a different animal, and so's Oxford tomorrow. I think Oxford are going to be a heck of a lot better this season. There's half a point in Oxford. They won at Derby midweek. That's another side which I've mentioned on here. I'm out to get Derby. I don't think they're anywhere near as good as being portrayed. Playoffs at best for them. They're not going to be in the top 2. Don't care what anybody says. They are not good enough. Derby County. There's half a point in Oxford. Blackpool Orient 52-26-22. Blackpool started well. 3 games in, a win, 2 draws, not conceded a goal, but only found the net twice. Orient have shipped 8 in 3. I think Blackpool will win tomorrow, but there's nothing in the price. You just wouldn't back Orient, would you? Cambridge Bristol Rovers 31-24-45. That first game I went to Portsmouth Bristol Rovers, and I had a pretty downcast view on Portsmouth after the game. Although in the second half Pompey should have won, but looking at it now, I think you've got to give credit to Bristol Rovers. They've drawn at home to Barnsley, and they've won away at Charlton. So they've drawn away at Portsmouth, won away at Charlton, drawn at home to Barnsley. You have to say that's decent form. Cambridge are 5th. They've won 2 games, but I just don't see it. They started last season similar to this. It's not for me. I think Bristol Rovers will win tomorrow. It's 0.35 in it. Carlisle Exeter 34-28, 38.18 in Exeter. Tough game to call. If I had to play, I would play Exeter. 3-0 winners at Wickham. 0-0 at home to Blackpool. That's pretty decent form. Lost 1-0 at Portsmouth. But I thought they acquitted themselves okay the other night. They did ought to be up to winning this, but I don't know. We'll see. Charlton Port Vale 50-26-24. I was not hoping. I thought Charlton might be a lot better this season. We were on them first game, weren't we, at home to Orient, but since then they've lost at home to Bristol Rovers and away at Peterborough. In the overall scheme, that might not be too bad, because I do think Peterborough are title challengers, and Bristol Rovers, on that early season form, have got every chance of being a playoff team. I think Charlton will probably win this tomorrow, but Port Vale have played better since they got that stuffing first game. I thought a 0-0 draw at home to Blackpool is decent enough. Derby Fleetwood 55-26-19. 8-15 is absolutely ridiculous. If you're taking that, you need your head seeing to. I mean, I said already this season, there's a couple of times I've said about Derby far too short. They got done at home to Wigan, they got done at home to Oxford. The only team they've beaten are Burton. Burton and Cheltenham are probably the worst teams in the division, along with Orient, Northampton, Fleetwood, etc. Look, Derby should be beating Fleetwood tomorrow, but if you're taking that, you're crazy. You can't win in the long term by doing that. Northampton, Peterborough, 20-24-56. Another one of our outright selections for the title, and I think they've started extremely well. 3-1 winners at Barnsley the other night. They've also won at Reading, and they've beaten Charlton. I think that's really strong form. I make them odds on for tomorrow. Bookmakers gone 11-10. I think they should be odds on. Peterborough. Northampton at home, drawn to Lincoln, lost at home to Stevenage, and they lost to Wigan on the road. Peterborough ought to be winning this. Portsmouth, Cheltenham, 66-24-10. Pompey should win. I'm not going to this game. That would have been the third time I've seen them already this season. If I do, they'll beat Cheltenham. I've got no doubts about that whatsoever. I think they're a real title challenger this season, Portsmouth. And as I've said already, I think Cheltenham are going to struggle. I think you've got two teams here that are going to be at the opposite end of the table. And I think Portsmouth will win tomorrow. Reading, Stevenage, 40-26-34. Tough. I don't know what to make of Reading. I think obviously it's going to take a wee while, isn't it? They've beaten Cheltenham, lost to Port Vale and lost to Peterborough. Port Vale away, you could probably say, okay, fair enough. Peterborough at home, you can say fair enough. Stevenage, they've started well, haven't they? 3 games in, 1 or 3, and they've won at Cambridge, beaten Shrewsbury and won at Northampton. I don't think that's very strong form. At home to Shrewsbury, 2-0, I think is probably the best piece of form. Winning at Cambridge and Northampton, I don't give a great emphasis on that. Reading, I think they're up to beating Stevenage tomorrow. Not enough in it for me, but it wouldn't put you off. Shrewsbury, Lincoln, 40-25-35. Shrewsbury done us a turn the other night, didn't they? Seeing off Burton, I think it was. I don't think this is going to be such an easy game against Lincoln. They're a tough nut to crack, Lincoln. Look at last season. They've only lost once this season. That was away at Bolton. They've beaten Wickham at home and drew 2-2 at Northampton. I think Shrewsbury are better than Northampton. Tough game to assess. Wickham Burton, 55-25-20. I was going to back Wickham. The figures sort of suggest that. 0.11 at 55%, I'm generally happy to go with. It is just the fact, I'll tell you what it is the fact I didn't like they only just beat Orient 3-2. They've shipped 8 goals in 3 games, and there's just something which, it's like an itch you can't scratch. Wickham should win, they're rated to win in their value. Don't let me put you off. Burton have lost every game. But I'm just not really sure about Wickham. But as I say, I do expect them to win. I probably will end up backing them because I know if it wins, I think, why didn't I back them? Because it all ticks the right boxes, doesn't it? Let's go on to League 2. Right, Accrington, Harrogate. 50-27-23. Accrington let us down the other night, didn't they? We were on them against Barrow, ended up being a draw. 87th minute goal. It was an 80th minute goal in the Stockport Bradford game. It was, I don't want to talk about it. I make them evens tomorrow against Harrogate. They're 11-10. I think they'll win. There's 0.1 in it. Don't let me put you off. Colchester MK Dons, 30-26-44. I thought the Dons would beat Crawley the other night. Really disappointed with that. Crawley have started well, haven't they? 1-2, draw 1 from 3 games. Playing some decent football, I'm led to believe. That's another reason why I really want to go tomorrow. I shouldn't have gone to Havant on Wednesday. It was a complete waste of time. Gillingham, I mean, look, they've won 3, played 3, won 3, not shipped a goal. They're not finding the net that often. They've only scored 3 goals, but they're rock solid. They look the best team, and I think they got the best squad in the division, as I've said many times. That investment in January has transformed the club. My idea of title winners, I've said that many times. I think they'll win tomorrow. I really do want to go. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning going. I just know it. Crewe Walsall 40-25-35. Done us a turn the other night. Crewe. I can't see why people are so down on Crewe. I think they got really decent form. 4-2 win at home to Newport. We were on that. But I think a 2-2 draw at Swindon and a 2-2 draw at home to Mansfield, I think it's decent form. I think Swindon, they won at Forest Green, drawn with Crewe, 2 games, no defeats. I thought that was really decent form from Crewe. Walsall are a real frustration because, I see Walsall in the sort of same light as I see Swindon and Doncaster. What I mean by that is they're better than what we see. I know they are. They've lost both games on the road, 2-1 to Morecambe, 4-2 to Wrexham. Beat Stockport at home 2-1. I think Crewe should win this. Doncaster Notts County 29-27-44. I don't understand this. Again, Notts County odds on. Why? 0-0 away at home to 0-0 away at Morecambe, 5-1 stuffing at Sutton, and they struggled to beat Grimsby 3-2. Yet they're odds on again. Not in a million years. Favourites, yes. Odds on, never. There's a point in Doncaster. Don't let me put you off. You know what I say about things in a sort of mid-20s upwards, and if there's a point in it, I think it's good value. I'm not saying Donny ain't going to win because they've been poor, but I think they improved, didn't they, the other night against Mansfield. Much better performance. This should never be odds on. Never. But they keep wanting to chalk them up. Odds on, that's good news for us. Forest Green, Newport 38-24-38. Couldn't split these two. Real tough one. There's a bidding Newport. They got beat the other night on the road, didn't they, when we were against them. I don't like either of these two teams for betting purposes. Grimsby Mansfield 34-26-40. Again, I'm no fan of these for betting purposes. Mansfield, done with them. I know we're only a few games into the season, but it's not just now, it was last season as well. It's like this. You look at it, you think, oh, it's a really sexy price, and they've got a way of sort of seducing you and sucking you in. But 2-2 away at Crewe, 2-2 away at Donny. I don't think that's overly bad. It is at the moment when you look at the table. I see Doncaster 23rd. But Crewe are 6th. They've had one home game. Mansfield beat Morecambe 3-0. What do I think about this one? If I had to make the bet, I would back Grimsby because there's value in it, and there's no value at all in Mansfield. But ratings say Mansfield are the most likely winners, and they are. I sort of thought, I thought this game would be a draw if I don't do the football pools anymore. But this would be one of the games that I would sort of have down as a banker draw. Not saying it's going to be a draw, but that's just my thoughts. Morecambe Bradford 25-25-50. Absolutely gutted about this one. As I say, Bradford the other night. We're on Friday, and I'm still very, very upset about Tuesday night. And when you spend the time that I did, I was on this all day Sunday, all day Monday. From bang early on the Monday, actually doing Tuesdays, and you think, I've got it all right, and you really do, and you look at some of those bets we had. I'm not going to talk about it. Let's just talk about this game. Morecambe Bradford. It's 0.15 in Bradford. Morecambe have had 2 games at home. They've beaten Walsall 2-1, drew 0-0 with Notts County. Again, it's one of those, isn't it? It's like what I've just said. It's a sexy price. The rating's high, and it's one of those that you think, I've got to back it. I don't know. Stockport Barrow 50-28-22. 8-11 for a side that's not won any of their games. They've been beaten at home to Gillingham, they've lost at Walsall, they've drawn at home to Bradford. You can crab Stockport, but let's be realistic about this. They lost at home to Gillingham. Gillingham are probably the best side in the division. Okay, they've drawn at home to Bradford 1-1. Bradford are a top 6 side. Okay, they lost away at Walsall 2-1. And as I said, Walsall are always a team which are better than what we see. If Walsall finished 6th, it wouldn't surprise me. They're that sort of side. So what I'm trying to say is that, you look where Stockport are and you think 2 defeats, 1 draw, crikey, that's rubbish. But you've got to look at the quality of the opposition. And as I say, Gillingham are the best side in this league. Bradford are a top 6 side. And Walsall are capable. So, their rating has come way down with me. Not way down, but it's come down. But they're still going off far too short. I do think they'll win tomorrow. I do. There's half a point in Barrow, and Barrow have done absolutely nothing wrong at all. Let me just quickly say that. They've beaten Sutton and Tranmere, drawn away at Accrington. And when you look at that form that Stockport have had against those teams I mentioned, you have to think to yourself, how would Barrow get on against them? Would Barrow do any better? Probably not. I'd expect Stockport to get off the mark tomorrow, but it's far, far too short. Sutton Wimbledon 38-24-38. Really tough game to assess. The values with Wimbledon, but I lent towards Sutton because again, you think, they've lost twice, they've only won once, but they've beaten Notts County 5-1, the much trumpeted Notts County, the team that the bookmakers and everyone's saying, they're going to be in the promotion hunt. They're not, right? Let me just say that. I say it every week. Notts County will not be gaining automatic promotion this season. Sutton's 2 defeats have been at home to Gillingham and away at Barrow. Now, we know how good Barrow can be at home, and losing at home to Gillingham there's no shame in that at all. I don't think there's any shame in that at all, right? So, Gillingham won at Stockport, and if you can win at Stockport, you can win anywhere. So, Wimbledon are a tough team to assess. They won away at Colchester, drawn away at Grimsby, drawn at home to Wrexham. That's probably decent form as well. And that's what I mean when I say you just can't split them. I did lean slightly towards Sutton, but the value's with Wimbledon. But for me, it's a no bet. Tranmere Salford 35-24-40. Tough one to assess as well, this one. Salford got downed at Grimsby 2-0, drew at home to Crawley, won away at Forest Green. Is that good form? I don't think it is. I think Forest Green are going to be a struggler this season. Tranmere have lost at home to Barrow, away at MK Dons. They beat Harrogate at home 3-0. I think they're not out of this tomorrow. It's a tough game to assess. I wouldn't want to bet any of them. If I had to bet, it would be Salford on figures, but not with any great confidence. Wrexham Swindon 52-26-22. 3-5 Wrexham, far too short as they're going to be every week. I make them a shade of odds on. I think they should be 10-11. They're not 3-5 shots. They're playing against the Swindon side, which is unbeaten. Won away at Forest Green, drew away at Crewe 2-2. Scored twice. Both times Swindon. Wrexham defensively are a nightmare. I think Swindon, if I had to bet in this game, it would be both teams to score and over 2.5 goals or something like that, because there has to be goals in this. Both of these teams are porous. You look at Wrexham, they've shipped 7 in 2 at home. They've scored 7 and shipped 7. There's going to be goals here. Do I think Wrexham will win? Probably 3-2 or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me if Swindon won or it was a draw. If I had to have a bet, it would be Swindon because there's a point in it. Right, let's go on to the National League. There's nothing in the National League. Well, there is actually a bet in the National League, but that is for members only. But we've got 3 here in the north and 1 in the south. Start with the north. Rushall 15, draw 25, Scunthorpe 60. Scunny has started really well, haven't they? They're top. As I said, I expect them. If they were in the National League, they'd make the playoffs minimum, because they're that good. The ground situation, as I said at the start of the season, is a concern. But I'll tell you what piece of form really does impress me was the win at Tamworth 2-1, because I wasn't really sure about that, and then they trotted up at Spennymoor 4-1 and won 2-0 at Boston, and that win at Spennymoor, they laced Southport 5-1, Banbury 3-0. They got a tanking at home to Tamworth, didn't they, Spennymoor? So I think that's a real strong piece of form, that from Scunthorpe. I think they should be a lot shorter tomorrow. This is actually a 2-pointer. That's not because it's one that myself and Tony agree with. It's one that I've done. If he fancied this as well, this would be a maximum. But anyway, I do think Scunthorpe will win. It's a 2-point bet. That simple. South Shields against Scarborough. Couldn't split these. But I just thought Scarborough 0.78 in it. I thought they were massive at 12-5. They've not done anything wrong. They've beaten Blyth, beaten Banbury. They lost 1-0 at Peterborough Sports. That was only by the odd goal. What warrants South Shields being odds on for this? They got done by Boston, drew at Farsley, beat Alfreton 3-1. I don't think Alfreton are all that this season. Win, lose or draw tomorrow, there's absolutely not a chance South Shields should be odds on. I don't care who wins. It's what I do care, because I'm on Scarborough. But the point I'm making is that 12-5, about 13-8. It's ridiculous. Tamworth, Alfreton, 55-25-20. I think Tamworth should be odds on. No question about that. I think they're a decent side. 4-1 away at Spennymoor, 2-0 at Boston. It's really decent form. They ran Scunthorpe close as well. And you know what I've just said about Scunthorpe. Would not surprise me one bit if this team was to make the playoff. They trotted up in their division. I forget what it was last season. Off the top of my head, but anyway, they won their league easily, and they've started this season really well. Alfreton haven't exactly done a lot wrong, but the games they've won at home have been against Southport and Peterborough Sports, 2-1 and 3-1. I don't think that's great form. They got done 3-1 at South Shields. I think Tamworth will win. I think they should be odds on, and they're even money. So again, it has to be a bet. Right, let's go down to National League South. My lot are at Chelmsford tomorrow. What do I think? I think Chelmsford will win. Simple as that. Haven't have lost every game. Chelmsford beat Farnborough at home and drew with Hampton. I think that's pretty decent form. I like Farnborough. I think they're an okay side. I've not had a bet in the National League South this season. This is the first one. I think Hampton should. I had Hampton better improving this season. I'm not going to knock them because they've played 3 games. All have been on the road. Hampton, Eastbourne, Dartford, and Chelmsford. Dartford and Eastbourne, we know, can be decent sides. And Chelmsford at the moment are third. Haven't. Speaking to fans the other night, it's it's not positive. I'd hope for things to improve. I think, losing 4-2 at home to Chippenham, that's not good. The St Albans result 2-1 I get. Weston-super-Mare 1-0, first game of the season. But I just got major concerns about this season. Away at Welling next week, then it's Yeovil at home, then Bath away, Eastbourne, Truro at home. I worry where the points are going to come from Havant. I really do. It's that simple. My other team, Hartlepool, we're away at Southend this week. I think that's going to be a real tough encounter. I didn't know what to make of it, really. We have beaten Gateshead and Maidenhead at home. Went down by the odd goal to Barnet. So I'm quite pleased with the way that we started the season. But I think tomorrow is a real tough one. They put 4 past Oldham, didn't they? They lost to Dorking the other day, Southend. But I do think this is going to be a real tough game for us tomorrow. I'd take a draw, but we shall see. So there you go. 2 points on Scunthorpe, point on Scarborough, point on Tamworth, point on Chelmsford. Right, let's move on. The weekly double. Winner the other night, Bolton and Wrexham. Halifax and Queen of the South tomorrow. 1.62 to 1 with Betway. That's your bet on the double. Hopefully we'll start going the right way on that now. I don't do these. I have to say, I put them up because, I was asked, people say, oh, you must have a decent double each week. I don't. I hardly ever back doubles. I do occasionally, but it's not something which I'm a singles better. Boring, I know. Trebles, I never do trebles hardly. It's the old familiar story, innit? Like one lets you down each week. That's been the case for us, I think. Halifax, Stockport, Queen of the South. Halifax are at home to Oxford City, look good things. Queen of the South look good things. Stockport, not one yet. I do think they'll win tomorrow. 3.42 to 1 with Corals, so fingers crossed. Right, I'll give you the over 50s from Scotland and England. I've not done the odds on tables now just because I've just been so busy this week. Scotland over 50, Queen of the South 60, Hamilton 55, Spartans 57. As I say, it's a thin coupon, isn't it? England, Liverpool, I can't remember. They're Bournemouth at home. That's it. My local side, Bournemouth. Made some quite decent signings, Bournemouth. Max Aarons, Alex Scott, I think are really decent youngsters. Portsmouth, Peterborough. There you go, Wrexham fans. You're on there. And that's it. Halifax I had really high off the top of my head, and Scunthorpe from the National Leagues. But that's it, guys. And fingers crossed we can have a decent weekend, and please put an end to these draws, because we should be so much further down the road than we are. And people say, oh, but you sure you're back in the right stuff? Absolutely. Because I've been doing this for 30 odd years now, 32 years or whatever it is, and I know that luck, or whatever you want to call it, evens itself out, and there are times when you're 0-0 at 89 minutes and the team you've backed scores. So what happened to us the other night over the course of the season? But it was just really, really frustrating because it could have been so good with 19 to 10, 4 to 1, 2 to 1 winners. Those are the sort of nights, days, whatever, that really make the game worthwhile. And I was confident about all of those. I wouldn't have given them out otherwise. And as I say, we only had the one actual loser, but draws count as losers as well. So, but I just wanted to show you that table because, as I say, the frustration levels. Oh, I don't smoke, but it would have been tempting to after Tuesday. That's it, guys. Have a good weekend. Next weekend we've got it's the bank holiday, isn't it, on the following Monday? So we've got a whole National League coupon on that bank holiday Monday, the 20. I think it's the 28th. Be the 25th, Friday 6th. Yeah, 28th, Monday the 28th. We got a full fixture list on the Saturday the 26th, and on Monday the 28th we've got a full National League coupon. So there will be something on the Saturday and the Monday, but we'll probably do the Monday. I'll probably do that on the Sunday evening. So I probably won't be going to a game that Saturday actually, because I need to start work on that straight away. Even more reason to go to Crawley tomorrow. That's it, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.